You're capable. You will overcome obstacles that most can't imagine. Your sponsorship says to a child, I believe that you deserve a successful start to life and a solid foundation to build upon. I believe you're worthy of good nutrition, quality healthcare, and the opportunity that education unlocks. Becoming a Save the Children sponsor sends a powerful message of support. It says, I am here for you, to lift you up, to cheer you on, and to celebrate your success. Because when you believe in a child, you empower them to believe in themselves. I believe in you. Just 4 simple words that can bring hope, that can change a life. Visit sponsor.savethechildren.org today and tell a child in need, I believe in you.
If you talk and they will hear you every single time.
Oh, we're getting killed.
Yeah, well, Kyle's not here.
How come?
Kicked off the team. Didn't Tim tell you? Kyle and some other kids got caught drinking beer in the park a couple of nights ago.
Really?
Yeah, 0 tolerance. He's out for the season.
Come on, it's a first offense, right?
That we know of. But why should that matter?
WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app. It's Barry, Sable, and Friends on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Well, good morning. You have tuned in to the Barry Sable Show with friends on this election weekend. Glad to have you with me. Just wanted to say, before I bring you my interview with Senate candidate Dave McCormick, how much it's been an honor and privilege to continue to be on air every weekend. And without your support, I could have never made it. And my ending line of every show is, I appreciate you, is sincere and so valued. Thanks for bringing me into your hearts week in and week out. So, Dave McCormick, who is running for Senator of Pennsylvania, is a West Point grad, Army Ranger, successful businessman, a winner of a guy, smart, willing and able to lead with a welcoming smile, is asking for your vote. We chatted this week, and here's what he had to say. Dave, recently, Joe Biden, the great unifier, said after the assassination attempt on former President Trump's life, gave a speech to the country saying we need to tone down the rhetoric and come together as one. Now, the other day, saying half of the country is garbage, and furthermore, the Democratic Party, including Kamala Harris, is saying and equating former President Trump to Hitler, Nazism, fascism. Your reaction, Dave?
Listen, I thought it was disgraceful for the President of the United States to disparage half of the population, half of Pennsylvania, simply because they support President Trump. And I think it's beneath the President of the United States. And listen, these leaders, Biden, Harris, and Bob Casey, my opponent in the Senate, have been devastating for working families. They've driven up prices by more than 20% with reckless spending. They've left the border wide open. 4,000 Pennsylvanians died last year from fentanyl. Crime is out of control in our cities and our suburbs. And we got a war on fossil fuels, and adversaries around the world are testing us. So they've done great damage to most Americans. And on top of this, they're disparaging people who support President Trump with the vile language, comparing President Trump to a Nazi, to Hitler, to Satan. And this is a guy in President Biden who promised to be above all that after the assassination attempt at Butler, where I was standing next to President Trump when he was shot. Yep. And so we need better. We deserve better leadership, and I'm aiming to go to the Senate to be a strong fighter for Pennsylvanians, but to be someone who leads with honor and integrity, and that's the opposite of what President Biden did.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, Dave, I'm 73 years old. Don't tell anybody, but I have to tell you, in all my days have never seen people campaign in the way that this party is campaigning, meaning the Democratic Party. I've never seen anything like it, and I'm sure you haven't either. And if this is the type of people that would vote for these people, 50 million, when I say these people, it's outstanding to me how you could consider this class dignity and elegant. I just don't see it, my friend.
No, it's vicious, and it's dishonest. You know, the campaign against me, Senator Casey says that I've got all this money that I'm spending. I'm being outspent dramatically on the airwaves. And, just one lie after another attacking me personally. This is a guy who's been in office for 30 years, elected office, and he doesn't run on any accomplishments because he doesn't have any. But he's running a campaign that's essentially based on lies that independent sources have identified over and over again as fabrications or completely misleading. But that's what you do when you don't have a record to run on.
That's correct.
And listen, you gotta have armor. This is a tough thing. Politics these days. It's a contact sport.
Yep.
And I'm ready for that. I'm a West Point grad and a combat veteran, and I'm a Ranger, as you said. I know what I'm getting into, but it's a terrible tragedy for the people of Pennsylvania and the American people that they have to wade through all these lies to figure out who they're going to vote for. And my impression, Barry, and listen, it's all just intuition. Mm-hmm. When I go across our Commonwealth, people are sick of the negativity. Yep. They're sick of the lies. They want common sense leadership. They want strength. And that's what I plan to bring to the Senate if I'm honored enough to be Pennsylvania's next senator.
Yep. Well, I have to tell you, you must be on fumes because everywhere I go, I see you. Last week, you were here with the firemen, and you really were terrific with them, and they're endorsing of you. The other day, the LaCourie Academy organized a nonprofit partisan event focused on education and the importance of school choice. You and Tim Scott attended. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? But before you do, I just want you to know, I took a picture between you and Tim Scott, two halfbacks, and me, a little puny guy. I'm not doing that. I want to be on a milk cart the next time, for God's sakes. Couldn't even see me.
You look good, Barry. You look good. Listen,
Tell me.
This is serious business about the problems we have. And you will not find a more optimistic person about America's future. Mm-hmm. You will not find someone who's more committed and more patriotic about America. I've shown that my whole life, but I'm worried. We have real problems. This lack of leadership, this liberal ideology that Senator Casey's voted for time and again is really destroying the American dream. And so I'm going across our great Commonwealth every day. I do 4, 5, 6, 7 stops to try to make sure I've got my finger on the pulse of the biggest problems and tell people on the campaign trail the kind of leadership that I will bring to the Senate. And there's nothing more important than our children.
Yep.
And the key to opportunity is to make sure every kid, regardless of race, religion, creed, has the opportunity for an education that's going to empower them and enable them to live the American dream that I've lived. I grew up in rural Pennsylvania and, went to West Point and have had an incredible life because of education. My mom and dad were public school teachers. I want to make sure that every single American, every single Pennsylvania has that opportunity. So I've been spending time with the school choice community. It's mostly, let's face it, Barry, there is school choice. It's rich people have the choice to send their kids wherever they want to school. It's the people that are more on the edge, living paycheck to paycheck, that get stuck in schools that are failing their children. And so by having every single child have the taxpayer money in a backpack on their back, and their parents and they get to pick the education that's best for them, that's going to give us the best opportunity to help bring people out of poverty, to help people have a path for hope so they don't resort to drugs or crime. And Senator Scott's a great leader on this issue. And so I did a school choice event this morning that you just mentioned, and I've got another one this afternoon in Harrisburg. And I think it's a great thing for Pennsylvania, a great thing for America.
Dave, before I'm going to leave you go and give you a last moment to do your last pitch, what I want to know from you, because people ask me all the time, what is the difference between what McCormick would do for the state of Pennsylvania as opposed to Bob Casey? Can you give me a quick rundown of that?
I really can. I mean, you look at the problems facing Pennsylvania, and you've got, a clear contrast between Bob Casey and me. He's been a status quo candidate. So he's voted for all the radical spending that's driven up inflation, all these subsidies for electric vehicles and so forth that's killing Pennsylvanians. I would be someone who would want to pull back on all, get inflation under control, put in place a balanced budget amendment that would make sure Congress has to balance its budget. Bob Casey has been a foe of energy. He's introduced the FRAC Act 6 times, which would kill our industry sector. He was in favor of canceling the Keystone Pipeline, which President Biden did, which hurt our energy sector. He's been a supporter of all this red tape and bureaucracy that's hurt fracking. Yep. I would be someone like President Trump that supports energy dominance, that America and Pennsylvania becomes a huge exporter of our natural gas. Bob Casey's supported a wide open border. He's voted against money for the Border Patrol. He's voted against the wall. He's voted for sanctuary cities like Philadelphia, which has been really a disaster. I'm for securing our border. I'm for doubling down on investing in our Border Patrol. I'm for using our military to go after these cartels, which are putting fentanyl in our country. Bob Casey was endorsed by Indivisible Philadelphia, which is a defund the police group. He's against qualified immunity for our law enforcement officers. I received the endorsement of 44,000 men and women in blue that switched their endorsement from Senator Casey to me because I'm going to stand behind him. I wore a different uniform, but I know we need to stand behind law and order in our cities. We need to help fund our police, and we need to get rid of terrible prosecutors, district attorneys like Larry Krasner. Yeah. And finally, there's been more war, more uncertainty. Our adversaries have challenged us under Biden-Harris and the weakness of Bob Casey. And right now, the world thinks that we're weak, and they're testing us. Our adversaries are testing us. I'll be someone who supports peace through strength, rebuilding our military, using it very selectively. The military man is the one who is most concerned about putting our young men and women to work because he's seen it. I've seen what it does. But I also know we need to be strong to keep our adversaries at bay. So on those issues, you see change versus the status quo. You see strength versus weakness. Bob Casey's been weak, career politician, extreme liberal positions. I'm a common sense conservative guy that wants to represent all of Pennsylvania, Democrats, Republicans, and independents alike, and would be honored to get the job.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question before I leave you go. Your thoughts on this early voting. Are you satisfied how things are going?
You know what? We've made huge strides. So the Democrats cleaned our clocks in 2020 and 2022 on early voting. And Republicans really didn't embrace it. I wish it wasn't the law, Barry. I don't like all the
flim-flam.
All the uncertainty and flim-flam around mail-in ballot and mail-in voting. But we have a law in place, and the Democrats have mastered how to maximize their turnout through mail-in ballots, and Republicans had not. We changed that this year. We've closed the gap dramatically, and I think one of the reasons we'll be successful on November 5th is because we've done that, and Republicans, President Trump's embraced mail-in ballots, and I think that's going to go a long way to helping us on the path to victory. And listen, I want to encourage the people that are listening in today, please vote. Get out there, vote. This is the most important election of our lifetimes. Tell your friends to vote. Get your family members. I hope they'll vote for me. But more than anything else, I hope they'll vote. Because this election is so important.
Yep.
It's so important, Barry.
Yep. Listen, I always joke with you. This morning, the other day when I hugged you, you have arms of steel. You have a mind of steel. You are a wonderful guy. You are going to be a terrific, not just candidate, but a terrific senator from Pennsylvania. I was born in Philadelphia. I am praying for you. Any last thoughts before I leave you go?
Well, I thank you for the opportunity to chat today. And listen, I'm doing this because the thing I learned at West Point was duty, honor, country. That's my mantra. That's how I've lived my life. If I have the opportunity to serve the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, I will fight every day for Pennsylvania, and I'll give it everything I got. And if I make mistakes, I'll own the mistakes, and I'll fight to make life better for Pennsylvanians. And if I get that chance, I'd be honored to do it.
I just want to tell you this before I leave you go. You got off the bus the other day at the firemen's headquarters.
The SOP, the headquarters.
You walked over to me, gave me a big hug. My producer, Larry, said to me, "Oh, my God, that guy loves you to death," and it's true, and I love you. You're a good man, and I appreciate every time I see you. You've given me an interview. We are pushing for Dave McCormick, and we're praying that on Tuesday you come out ahead.
Thanks, Brother Barry. Have a good day.
You're
Thanks,
the best.
buddy.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
buddy. Take care. I want to thank Dave McCormick for his interview with me this week. We are up against the break. You are listening to The Barry Sable Show with Friends. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. We will see you on the other side.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-511-3535. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider, 800-511-3535. That's 800-511-3535. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with, call Big Lou at 800-511-3535.
The following is a paid commercial announcement.
Throughout this campaign, I've seen the best of America, and I've seen what is holding you back and weighing you down. High costs, fundamental rights being taken away, and politics that too often have driven division. Next January, one of us will be president. If it's Donald Trump, he's made clear he'll wake up every day and stew over his enemies list. That will help no one. If I am president, I'll be focused on my to-do list for you, the American people. I'll cut costs by cracking down on corporate price gouging, make housing more affordable, lower taxes for 100 million Americans, and protect Social Security. I'll focus on you and getting things done. And now I'm asking for your vote, because as president, I will get up every day and fight for the American people. Let's get to work. I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message. Paid for by Harris for President.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Philo's got a world of entertainment for you to explore with just one subscription. Sign up today and start watching all the networks you love, like A&E, MTV, Discovery, Lifetime, Hallmark Channel, and so much more. Featuring current seasons of all the best drama, true crime, reality, and family-friendly shows you can't afford to miss. Get started today and unlock our library of over 75,000 movies and shows. And save all your favorites with the unlimited DVR so you can rewatch them anytime, anywhere, for up to a year. Philo now includes access to AMC+. You can discover your next obsession from its collection of hit originals like Mad Men, The Walking Dead, Killing Eve, Orphan Black, and tons of blockbuster movies. There are no contracts, no commitments, and no hassles. For just $28 a month, Philo's a better way to watch TV. So what are you waiting for? Visit philo.tv and sign up today to start your 7-day free trial. That's PHILO.TV.
Hey girl, it's your new night guy, Jimmy Fallon in the house from 7 to 10 p.m. on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and free on the Odyssey app.
Yes, we are back, and yes, you are listening to the Barry Sable Show with friends.
Hey, Uncle Barry, that was a really good interview with Dave. Let's hope we can get Dave over the finish line, and I know your next guest, who you're ready to introduce, has been working hard on his behalf.
Yep, he has. My next guest, matter of fact, Peter, is former Congressman from Florida, Peter Deutsch. Peter, good morning. Do we have Peter?
Well, it looks like we're having some technical difficulties.
He is on. Go ahead. Can you hear me, Peter?
I'm with you. Barry, I'm with you.
How are you, my
great,
friend?
great.
I know you've had a busy week. Why don't you give us an update what you've been doing all week? We have like a short 8-minute session. The mic is yours, my friend.
Well, I'm still meeting persuadable and undecided. They still are out there. I'm flying to Pittsburgh today. I have 2 meetings set up with a group at Pittsburgh University and a parlor meeting at someone's home.
Peter,
And,
what is your challenges with people? Why are you having so much difficulty getting the message across? What are people disagreeing with you or the Republican Party, for all that matters?
I think I'm really almost exclusively still talking to Democrats. I mean, obviously, I have a siloed role in this thing. I heard Dave McCormick on your show. At this point, 99.99% of this is really about getting people to vote. So I'm doing my 0.01% effort. But the truth is that, there are a lot of people who really feel uncomfortable with Donald Trump. And even if they understand that their lives were better, 4 years ago, and even if they care about Israel, and even if they understand the insanity of the border crisis and inflation, there's people who are still struggling. I mean, if you look at the analysis, I think the polling data is all over the map because that's the nature of polling data. But one thing consistent in the polling data is there still are a bunch of undecided people in America. And I think all of those undecided support Donald Trump on his positions, but still have concerns about things he said.
Hey, Peter, how concerned are you with what we've seen in some of the counties with the with those ballots that were illegally registered, not cast but illegally registered, and that's got to be a big concern.
The good news is that the Republican Party, President Trump's campaign has an apparatus that they were expecting these types of things to occur, and they've responded almost immediately. And I'm not sure, the Trump campaign is going to get 100% of them, but they're out there. I mean, they've litigated successfully multiple times in multiple states already, and obviously, unfortunately, I think that's going to happen more over the next couple of days.
So, Peter, let me ask you a question. In all fairness, do you believe that this kind of, I used with the McCormick flim-flam, but this kind of, call it cheating, is happening on both sides of the aisle, or do you think it's contributed to one side only?
Listen, I think the evidence points to, I haven't heard about any Republican instances like the types of things that have been reported in the mainstream. Remember, the legacy media is part of Kamala Harris's campaign. That is a fact. It's no longer a theory. It is a fact. So the legacy media is reporting these things. And I have not seen one instance anywhere in the country where there has been an allegation of the Trump campaign doing something similar.
Hey, Peter, you mentioned the legacy press or media. They've done a great job in terms of framing Donald Trump for what he is. We've done a couple shows here, and we've shown 15 things that he's done, great things for people that nobody ever reported. It's got to be a big challenge trying to undo that in 1 hour or one sitting, or how much time that you get with these people.
It's interesting. First of all, it is insane. I mean, if Harris wins, it is 100% on their shoulders. I mean, I just texted to a friend of mine who thinks that Harris is going to win. It's actually an article in today's New York Post about polling data that they went through that Trump is going to win. And I literally pointed out to him the only newspaper in the country that was accurate about Hunter Biden's laptop was the New York Post.
Right.
So maybe they're the most accurate in terms of reporting this stuff. I think there's an interesting phenomenon. I think they are so bad that a lot of people have effectively discounted them. I mean, their power is dramatically less than it has been in the past. And things like radio, things like podcasts have become much more influential in terms of people getting information.
Wow. It's I'll have to tell you the truth. I'm listening to you two guys, and I'm speechless. I cannot understand for the living life of me how anybody could vote that cares about America to the left right now. In all fairness, as Peter knows, and as I've said on this show many times, I am basically a non-political guy. But when I look at the policies, there's nothing to talk about. I've been to the border. I've seen what happens. I know there's 300,000 kids that are missing. I know fentanyl deaths. I know inflation. I know wars. What is the people on the left thinking, Peter? Do they just hate America? Is that the answer?
Listen, I think I've heard enough debates, and no one is voting for Kamala Harris. No one is supporting what Joe Biden has done as president. I don't think anyone really is. I mean, it's either voting for Donald Trump or voting against Donald Trump. And that unfortunately is, I think,
so shallow, Peter. This is shallow to vote personality and not policy. It's enough. I've had enough.
100%. I agree with you 100%. If on every issue that people care about, it's not a close call. But it's a close election. I think that is a reality. And I think you're encouraging. I saw Dave McCormick's comments. I heard those a couple minutes ago. I mean, at this point, for everyone who cares about the future of America, if they haven't voted, they need to vote now. They need to get every one of their friends, relatives, acquaintances, neighbors to vote, because we still don't know how close it's going to be. And Pennsylvania remains the alpha and omega in terms of this campaign.
Yeah, and I think he was great, Peter. I have to tell you the truth. I've spent time with him. He's always so gracious to me, like I said, but he's on the money. Everything he says is pro-American, pro-people. I mean, come on. I mean, the guy's just terrific. And I have to tell you, unlimited amount of energy and so smart. He's a tough guy. He will fight for Americans.
When he gets elected. And, I've seen some internal polls from his campaign, and I'm supporting him as well. I believe it's really a fascinating thing. I think he's probably ahead of Donald Trump right now in the state of Pennsylvania, which is really almost a crazy comment to make.
Yeah.
And I think they're both on the edge and probably over the edge. President Trump is in Pennsylvania today. He's going to be at 2 locations in Pennsylvania tomorrow. It's actually an interesting thing. You try to read tea leaves into this thing. I thought he was actually closing out the campaign in Pittsburgh tomorrow. I was going to actually stay over just to be at the last event of the campaign. But he's actually, after the event tomorrow night, he's scheduled at 11:30 tomorrow night to go to Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Unbelievable.
Which is where and I think the message of that, and all this is analytical, is that he's in the hunt in Michigan. I mean, if I were to bet today, I would bet he's going to win Michigan. And I think it was a beautiful thing. He went to Dearborn, Michigan, the most Arab American city in the United States of America, with a Democratic mayor, and the Democratic mayor, as well as a slew of civic activists and other officials and imams, all endorsed him. And you know what? I'm happy they endorsed him, because the reality is they understand it's not the most important issue in the campaign. It's my most important issue in the campaign, which is really the president's most important job, to achieve and maintain peace in the world. That's the reason they're supporting him, the same reason I am. I mean, no one sort of talked about this, but there's an incredibly interesting sort of synergism between the Jewish community and the Arab community in terms of supporting Donald Trump. Because ultimately, you know what we want?
Yeah,
we all want peace. And that's the guy who can bring it, who did it.
Yeah, and I think that's absolutely fantastic that he's getting that kind of support from the Muslim community. Now, obviously, he's not going to get a lot of percentage, but anything helps. And I also saw that Jill Stein was polling pretty high in the Dearborn and in Michigan with some of the Muslim voters.
But again, for the Democratic mayor of the most Muslim city in the United States of America to come out for Donald Trump, to me, is a statement of who Donald Trump is.
Yep.
In a positive way.
Listen, guys, I'm up against the break. Peter Deutsch, you are doing the right thing. You are admirable.
You're doing amazing things also. Make sure everyone votes. They got to vote.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, if you're staying overnight, Peter and I are buying dinner. You are listening to the Barry Sable Show with friends. We need to take a break with a special guest coming on next. You don't want to miss this conversation.
This is Dr. Marianne Ritchie. Tune in to Your Radio Doctor every Saturday afternoon at 5 here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT for the latest healthcare news and information, because your health is your wealth. That's Your Radio Doctor, Saturdays at 5.
The following is a paid commercial announcement.
Kamala backed Biden on everything. She was the deciding vote for his disastrous economic agenda. Kamala and Joe raised taxes on the middle class, and prices soared. Kamala was in charge of his open border policies, giving welfare to illegals while Americans struggle. and their weakness invited wars. Now Kamala wants to double down on failure. It's time to turn the page on Joe and Kamala's failed agenda. President Trump fights for you. His strength kept us safe. Trump cut taxes for families. Prices were lower and the border secure. Now, President Trump can do it again.
And we are going to launch a new golden age of American success for the citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed.
Remember, Kamala broke it. President Trump will fix it.
I'm Donald Trump, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Donald J. Trump for President 2024 Inc.
Don't miss The Education Show with Dom Giordano every Sunday morning at 5:30. Find out how you can help your child or grandchild succeed. Sponsored by New Hope Academy.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This is a commercial for California Psychics, America's most trusted psychic network. So, if you're waiting for a sign, this is it. No, really, this is it. You won't see your soulmate's face in the clouds or your career path mapped out in your cappuccino foam. This really is it. We could add some dramatic sound effects if you'd like. So what you waiting for? Experience the joy of certainty at CaliforniaPsychics.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-837-5050. That's 800-837-5050. 800-837-5050.
Be sure to follow Talk Radio 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
Yes, indeedy. We are back. You are listening to the Barry Sable Show with friends. Peter Mimo, you listened to Kamala Harris' speech this week in Washington, D.C. Tell me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I did. I know nobody else did, but I did. And she did it from the same spot as the January 6th speech. So I thought it was going to be interesting. I listened to about, I'll say about 30, 35 minutes of her speech. I counted 11 big Trump lies just in the first 35 minutes. I'll go over a few.
Go ahead.
Okay, no new policies, no plan for the border, the economy, nothing on Ukraine, nothing on Israel, just full mendacity. 1, national abortion ban. We know that's not true. Cuts to Social Security and Medicare. He's cutting the taxes on it, not Social Security and Medicare, right? She wants illegals on Medicare. That'll kill it.
Yep.
He's going to release the violent protesters from January 6th. He said he's not releasing the violent protesters. He's releasing the peaceful protesters, some of which still haven't had their trial. It's over 4 years ago.
Yep.
Isn't that crazy? The nonviolent trespassers. That's who he wants to release. He will use the military against people that disagree with them. Where did that come from? That's the most ridiculous statement I've ever heard. Trump tax cuts for the rich, millionaires and billionaires. Harris has already said she's going to allow Trump's tax cuts that he put in to sunset. That means higher taxes on everyone, lower class, middle class, upper class, rich. That's the deal on the tax cuts. So keep that in mind. And, this is really the ruling class versus the people. I mean, just ask John Kerry about,
it's amazing,
about
Peter.
Biden and misinformation. I mean, this is the rich against the poor is what it is.
Peter, we're supposed to have a special guest on.
Let me keep going,
Well,
Barry.
go ahead.
Trump will put in a 20% national sales tax. Where did that come from? That's the biggest lie I've ever heard in my life.
Yep.
Unions should listen to that. What Trump's talking about is a 20% tariff, which means Trump is protecting union workers and the jobs here in America. Harris says, the heck with the union jobs here in America. We're not going to have any tariffs. We'll let China do whatever they want. That 20% is eaten by the country, not by the people here.
Yep.
We've had tariffs on every product we bring into this country. I don't see prices going up because of tariffs. Trump put them in when he came in 2016. Prices didn't go up. So, this national sales tax, where the heck did that come from?
Yeah.
Trump would restrict access to birth control. He's on record as saying he's not against birth control. He is for in vitro fertilization.
Yes.
So that's another lie. Trump killed the border bill. 6 Democrats voted against it, including Bernie Sanders. Trump didn't kill that bill. Now, Kamala Harris says she's going to bring that bill up as soon as she gets elected. It'll fail again because nobody wants it. It was voted against by Democrats. It's just another lie. We've outlined this so many times. Trump called the troops suckers and losers. Now, obviously that didn't happen. Nobody heard it. It's just frustrating for me to sit there and when do we have the policy debate? That's what I want to know. When are we going to discuss policies? How we're going to end the war in Ukraine? How are we going to fix the economy? How are we going to secure the border? All I hear is a bunch of Trump, Trump, Trump. She's not running for anything. She's running against Donald Trump, and that's it.
Justin Murphy, you are live on the air with Uncle Barry and Peter. Good morning, my friend. Do we have Justin? Or here you go back to sleep? There he is.
Good morning, the radio ray of sunshine from Delaware Valley. How you guys doing?
We miss you.
Doing
we
good,
need you in studio.
Sorry we couldn't get you in last week, man.
Yeah.
We were so jammed up with time.
What's going on?
No worries. I was listening to your interview with Representative Cuellar. All very good. Super.
Yeah.
Well, are everybody ready for Tuesday?
I know I am, Justin. I'm going myself and voting on Tuesday, and I'm taking 2 people with me that's never voted before.
Well, that's certainly good news.
Okay.
I'll tell you.
Justin, you're not going to believe this. Our guest has just appeared. Give me 3 lines, and then we'll have you on next weekend.
Sounds good.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Anything else you want to comment before? Give me a prediction.
Prediction. No. Trump and Republicans run the table, House, Senate, and White House.
You're the
Your
best.
mouth to God's ears.
Love you. Exactly.
Talk soon.
Thanks, Justin.
Okay.
My next guest has his own army, so watch out. Some people call him Rich Zioli. Me, I prefer Z. He is the flagship of our radio station on 1210 WPHT. Around this facility, we believe, like folklore, Marshall Wyatt Earp, you, like him, walk on water, short in stature, but huge in political insight, knowledge, and wisdom. Mr. Z, Peter and I welcome you to the Barry Sable Show with friend. Good morning.
Uncle Barry, how
Yes,
you doing, buddy? You didn't need to take a shot at my height, though. That was unnecessary.
Peter told me that was going to be a problem.
I told him don't go there because I'm a midget too, Rich.
I mean, by the way, midget, you can't say midget.
Oh, that's right.
That's politically incorrect.
Yeah, I'm a diminutive adult.
You gotta say vertically challenged.
Exactly. Listen, we have limited time. We don't have 4 hours.
I was here at 10:30. I was waiting. I was just sitting here waiting patiently. I texted you. I said I was online. I emailed you. I called the station. Nobody answered.
Rich,
I was here.
Rich,
I was not late.
We have no idea what we're doing in here. It's like chaos. Constant chaos.
Barry, you got big names on like McCormick and Tim Scott. I mean, I'm a peon, but still,
Listen, Peter, butter up Zioli. Give him when you listen to his first broadcast.
It's way too late for that.
No. Come on.
Right?
Hey, Rich, thanks a lot for calling in. I listened to your first show you ever did on WPHT. I've been with you through that whole time, and you've been great. You really have. I don't listen to only a couple of people, and you got a really keen political insight, and you're ahead of the curve. I'll give you a couple of examples. You're going to love this. Jesse Smollett. You called Hong Kong Phooey on that the first day. The first day. You
Fugazi.
said, now, wait a second. It's 2 a.m. It's 0 out. You're a Republican with a MAGA hat in Chicago. No way.
No.
That was great. And, of course, you were on top of Biden not being the candidate. You were on that a year ago, maybe longer.
Yep.
So that's why we listen to you. You're saying what I'm thinking, and I just don't hear that anywhere else.
Well, Peter, I appreciate that. I mean, honestly, Stevie Wonder could have seen the Jussie Smollett thing if he looked hard enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, what about ABC, NBC?
Yeah.
They were doing these half-an-hour interviews.
Listen, what happened the other day with the whole thing with Liz Cheney, which infuriated me, that all of a sudden the corporate media just lied and said Trump was calling for Liz Cheney's execution, and they all just jump on this. They know it's wrong. They know it's a lie. They knew Jussie Smollett was BS, but they don't care. They're there to push a narrative, and that's why we exist here in Talk Radio. It's why you guys are doing great on Sunday, because we have to give an alternative.
Yes.
Because the corporate media that's what they do. They are there to push a narrative, period.
Now, you've been involved with politics for a long time, and I know you've been involved at the campaign level and that type of thing. Are they allowed? It's so frustrating for me to see these blatant lies, a 20% national sales tax. Where did that come from? I mean, just blatant lies. Are they allowed to do that? I don't remember that in the old days.
I mean, I guess we could probably push back and challenge the ad and say that, it's not true. But all they got to do is cite a source in the ad, and then it's very, very hard to keep an ad from running, because of the First Amendment. So, and they just put a little asterisk and they say, well, that's because some economists determined that it would be 20%. But it's BS. I think people see through it. I don't think people believe it. I don't think any of their attacks on Trump are working. The New York Times had a story this morning about their polling data and how they think they are once again seriously undercounting Trump voters in all these polls. Even the ones that show them ahead, they still think that they're undercounting Trump voters.
Rich, the other day I went to that school, I don't want to call it school board meeting, but a round table, and I was with, as you know, Scott and McCormick, and in the corner of the room, who's there? Brett Baer. So Uncle Barry, he's not shy, walks over, introduces himself. I know that you did some kind of shot with him somewhere that day. What was that like, spending time with Brett Baer, and did you get a chance to dig into anything beyond what he was doing?
It's funny. He's a really nice guy.
Yep.
I'd never met him in person before, and they had me come down there for this. They were doing this right outside of Independence Hall. A beautiful shot with Independence Hall in the background, and we were talking Philly. The thing about TV, and this is why I love radio so much more, Barry, is because you do all this work to get ready, and it lasts for 2 minutes. It's like your first time, when it doesn't. It's a big build-up. It doesn't last very long, and you look back and go, could I have done something different there? But the radio, we can get more in-depth on topics. He asked me like 2 questions, basically. He asked me, what are we missing when it comes to Trump support and Pennsylvania? And I said, I think the big story is that the early in-person mail-in voting is huge. That is such a difference from 2020. People waiting in line 6 hours. There were people waiting in line the other day in Quakertown, Levittown, until 8:15 p.m. Guys, they wound up bringing in lights and pizza and chairs for people because there were so many people waiting in line.
Wow.
Richie, are the Democrats watering down the infield, so to speak? Are they slowing down the process because they fear that these are Republican voters this time?
I think so. It's too. I mean, yeah, I know they're incompetent, but this level of incompetence is so inexcusable. It has to be deliberate, in my opinion.
Of course. See, it's so funny that you mentioned that. This 2 days ago, when I ran into you in the studio, I went home and I said, I've got a whole plan for Zioli. I want to talk about the fabric of the country is changing. I want to give him stories of what I found at the poker table the other day and a car zipping by me. And like you say, you have a shot and a plan of what you're going to do. You get in the studio. You can't get done 15% of what you have in mind of doing. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, right? I mean, but that's the beauty of what we do, right? It's organic, Barry. It's, it lives, it flows. It's not, everything's not so scripted like TV is. That's why I love talk radio. It's why I think talk radio is going to go on forever. I'm not worried about the future. I know radio might be struggling, but what we do is we connect with people.
Yes.
That's going to be around forever. The platforms, the media will change. We'll do more video stuff and everything like that, but we'll always be doing this.
Yep.
And you do such a great job with that. And, when you look to the future, we need people like you. We need younger guys to come up and replace the Rush Limbaughs. The Mark Levins will not be around forever. The Dennis Pragers will not be around forever. Guys like yourself, guys like Ben Shapiro, getting out a really good message. It's really important that we continue that. And you do such a great job with that, Rich. You really do. You got a great insight. I don't know why or how you're able to piece these things together before anybody else. But, that's why I listen, because I'm learning.
Right.
Well, you guys are too kind. I appreciate it very much. I mean, we're all, we're lucky that we are in this place and time right now. I mean, think about it. You just interviewed Dave McCormick and Tim Scott the Sunday before the election.
Yep.
That's huge. In the state that matters most, in the state that everybody's watching, Pennsylvania, the state that is going to determine the presidency of the United States of America. I mean, we are so lucky to be on this radio station.
Yes, we are.
At this moment.
Listen, I say it all the time, but I want you to know, yes, we are guys that are terrific guys in favor of you. But, we have requests as well. One of my requests was to have Rich Zeoli on. I've already now had Rich Zeoli on. My next request is I want Jimmy Fallon to call in, your buddy. I want to welcome him to WPHT. And lastly, Peter and I, the Barry Sable Show with Friends, wants to sit in studio with Rich Zeoli and Faley and have a ball for an hour. You know what's coming. You know who I am, and you know how I like to joke and have fun.
Well, Faley's still asleep. You got to realize that. I mean,
he closed Sparks Steakhouse last night.
He does his Saturday night show, which is killing him. He's crushing it. He's getting like 2.5 million, 3 million views every Saturday night from 10 to 11. Which, by the way, shameless plug. I'll be on there next Saturday night.
Yeah, I missed you
at 10 p.m.
Yeah, we watch you every week.
Rich, you and him have a chemistry. And I don't know if you talk about things before the show or not, but it comes off great. It looks spontaneous. And if you could get me to laugh sitting on the couch at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, that's really good. So you guys really have good chemistry.
And then what we do is we go drinking after. It's like honestly, it feels like the Rat Pack. It's like Sinatra and Dean Martin.
Listen, we want to come to New York. Look, Rich, don't you leave me. I know I have you only for a short period of time. We're up against the break. You're listening to the Barry Sable Show with Friends. My special guest, Rich Zeoli, will be back in a minute.
Philo's got a world of entertainment for you to explore with just one subscription. Sign up today and start watching all the networks you love, like A&E, MTV, Discovery, Lifetime, Hallmark Channel, and so much more. Featuring current seasons of all the best drama, true crime, reality, and family-friendly shows you can't afford to miss. Get started today and unlock our library of over 75,000 movies and shows. And save all your favorites with the unlimited DVR so you can rewatch them anytime, anywhere, for up to a year. Philo now includes access to AMC+. You can discover your next obsession from its collection of hit originals like Mad Men, The Walking Dead, Killing Eve, Orphan Black, and tons of blockbuster movies. There are no contracts, no commitments, and no hassles. For just $28 a month, Philo's a better way to watch TV. So what are you waiting for? Visit philo.tv and sign up today to start your 7-day free trial. That's philo.tv.
The following is a paid commercial announcement.
They don't call her Confiscation Kamala for nothing. Don't take it from us.
And I support a mandatory buyback program.
A mandatory buyback program? That means the government forcing you to turn in your firearms. To what lengths would Kamala go? Well, she doesn't even support the individual right to own a firearm.
I'm prepared to take executive action and put in place a ban on the importation of assault weapons into our country.
We get it. Sometimes it's tough to understand what she's talking about. But on the Second Amendment and your rights, Confiscation Kamala has been crystal clear. Her gun control agenda comes straight from that petri dish of bad ideas that is California. She can claim to be a gun owner all she wants, but we all know she's the same anti-gun California radical she's always been. Don't be left defenseless. Defeat Confiscation Kamala. Vote Trump like your life depends on it, because it does. NRA Political Victory Fund paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. NRAPVF.org.
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 103.9 FM.
The presidential campaign is hyper-caffeinated on this final weekend with candidates and surrogates barnstorming in the Keystone State. Witnesses say Joel Embiid got into an altercation with a reporter who'd written an unflattering column about him. Videos showed Jason Kelsey smashing the phone of a guy who had insulted his brother.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
Kale and Company weekday mornings 6 till 10.
Some lady came up to my house and knocked on the door. I was getting ready to take the trash out, and she wanted to ask me if I was voting. I'm voting the other way, and I do this little old radio show in the morning, and I explained it to her. She goes, well, are you aware of? And I said, ma'am, with all due respect, we don't need to kick around the policies. This is what I do for a living, 20 hours a week. I think I'm just trying to take
I live and breathe this stuff.
I'm just trying to take the trash out. I gave her a little smile. I said, well, you have a great day. Best of luck. I shook her hand. I said, God bless. Move on.
Start your day with Kale and Company. Weekday mornings 6 till 10 on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and the free Odyssey app.
Hey, this is Jimmy Fallon in the house, and dig this, folks. This is not a drill. It's the real thing. You can now join me weeknights from 7 to 10 p.m. on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT or anywhere on the free Odyssey app.
Yes, we are back. Thanks for not straying away. We are the Barry Sable Show with friends. Our special guest on the line, the man that walks on water, who I call Wyatt Earp. If that's the case, Rich, I want to be Doc Holliday. Peter, you have a question for Rich.
Thanks so much for hanging in there. I think Trump has run a marvelous campaign, just magnificent. He's winning where he's done everything. I thought the garbage truck was fantastic. And also, I've seen a softer side of Donald ever since the assassination attempt. What are your feelings on that?
I think I really, honestly, guys, I think he's running a great campaign. It's been very much on message. The commercials, the spots. It's been focused on the economy. He's been incredibly disciplined. For him, I mean, it's as disciplined as he gets. To be honest,
exactly.
Part of what people love about Trump is that he's Trump. He's going to back in 2015 when I was helping him with debate stuff back then in 2015 and 2016. There was a sign in the campaign office that said, let Trump be Trump. He's going to always be himself. But in terms of message discipline, it's been very laser focused on the issues that people care about the most, the economy and immigration. And even Kamala Harris's own super PAC came out last week and said that her focus on calling him Hitler and a fascist, it's not working. Honestly, I think this has been one of the worst campaigns I've ever seen, the campaign that she's running. If somehow she wins this by some miracle, it'll only be because people were opposing Trump. It's not going to be because they're voting for her. No way. She doesn't appeal to people, even people that are undecided right now. She's not closing the argument about what she would do on the economy. So I think Trump ultimately does win, but there's some variables we just don't know. And, the abortion stuff and women voters coming out early and what that means. We don't know the answers to those things yet.
See, that's what I want to ask you. Explain to me quickly, because we don't have a lot of time left. What is the composite of a modern day Democrat voter? I know they don't like Trump. We all get that. But policies. How could anybody that loves America consider voting to the left?
I don't, that's a great question, Barry. I got to think if there's an undecided voter out there, they're going to break to Trump at the end, because even if they don't like him, they don't like his tweets, or they don't like his style or what he says or whatever, they have to like the results.
Yes.
They have to like the policies. And they know the guy's not Hitler. He was president for 4 years. He's not a fascist dictator. He left. He didn't stay in office. He could have tried. He didn't try. So I think at the end, they're going to break for Trump. Because the other problem is that instead of just going with a Democrat who's not associated with this administration, they pick the vice president who's directly associated with this administration and said there's nothing she would change. And all of her crazy, wacky, lefty nonsense that she said back in 2019 and 2020. Look, I think she means all that stuff.
Of course she means it. Listen, Biden and her for the last 3 years have executed exactly what they said they were going to do. Yeah. And you know what's funny, Z? I had so many thoughts that I wanted to tell you. To me, the fabric of America is changing. And I had planned on giving you 3 or 4 rapid fire like we do on this show, talking about things of that nature. You have to promise me, I don't care if you have to get up early again, that we get another crack at the apple with you, because I have so many things that Peter and I plan to really want to talk and pick your brain.
First of all, this isn't getting up early. What do you think? I've been up since 6 o'clock in the morning. I got a 4-year-old child.
I didn't know if you were failing last night.
That, I would think.
We don't know.
Next Sunday, I will still be drunk by the time you guys get on the air. That's true.
There you go.
Fairness,
You see?
Fair. We'll
so listen, I'm an indicator too. You're not the only one on this station that can predict the future. Go ahead,
hey, Rich,
Peter.
in all seriousness, you had said, gosh, a little after she had got anointed, she's just a bad candidate. She's not intelligent. She's just a bad candidate. And I've been paying attention to that and, listening to that. And I'm thinking, I think you're right, spot on with that. She's just a bad candidate.
Peter and Z, I am so sorry. We have to wrap up. To Peter and Z, I'm telling others, don't be afraid to give up the good to go for the great, leaving nothing for tomorrow, which can be done today. Z, thanks for calling in. To Peter Mimo, Rich Zioli, to Dave McCormick, and Peter Deutsch, thanks for joining me on this Sunday morning. Philly, on your busy Sunday, grateful to you for spending some time with us. You have been listening to the Barry Sable Show with Friends, Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Have a great week, a healthy week, a safe week, and we will see you next weekend. Thanks for always being there. Go, go, Eagles. I appreciate you.
I used to roll the dice, feel the fear in my enemy's eyes, listen as the crowd would sing. Now the old king is dead, long live the king. 1 minute I held the key, next the walls were closed on me, and I discovered that my castle stand upon pillars of salt and pillars of sand.
Natural disasters happen every year. Fires, hurricanes, tornadoes. And with that, your most important moments recorded on VHS, camcorder tapes, and 8mm could all be gone in an instant. Cherished moments like your wedding, baby's first steps, family trips to Yellowstone, lost. Enter Legacy Box. Digitizing your old media with Legacy Box protects your irreplaceable memories from the threat of natural disaster.